some might say that if you are in a group,
Hmm.
that it might be easier for you to navigate the waters of hip hop. And so, with that in mind, Billboard magazine just released a list of from numbers 50 to 41
Hmm.
of their top 50 hip hop groups, obviously in celebration of the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and they released 50 through 41 of
Yes.
the list of hip hop groups.
Yeah.
And so it's funny, when Jerry and I were discussing this, and we were going through some of the acts. I was like, hold up, they consider that a group?
Hmm.
Because at first I was kind of like, but that's a soloist, that's the one MC, and they do have a DJ. And so in my mind, I was not considering that a group.
Hmm.
But then J Ray kind of made me think, well, yeah, if they come as a package, like
Yeah.
your Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, your who
Gangstar.
Gangstar, prime
Yep.
example, I was like, okay, now I can see it. So that's what I took away from our discussion. We always have these very lively
Yeah.
discussions about these topics. But who did you see on the list and you were like, okay, I could dig that. Who did you see,
Yeah.
Jerry?
Actually, the list itself. So let me say it like this: I am curious to what the rest of the list looks like. I think
Okay.
seeing it like this, and I'm sure Billboard has learned from Rolling Stone to not trigger us with these lists. And you like, wait though, how did this person end up here versus here? So
For
I'm
sure.
curious to see who else, where everyone else is placed. But I will
Got you.
say a couple of standout things, or a couple standout groups that were on the list. We talked about this, the Yin Yang Twins, which is a group
Hmm.
that we don't talk about enough, and how important that they were, in particular in that early 2000s hip hop era.
Absolutely. The crunk and beat
Yep,
era, they absolutely ushered in the twerk era. And
absolutely.
that's not anything to shake a stick at. That was a very important means for keeping hip hop alive, quite frankly.
Yep, and um really shined a light on Atlanta
For
as
sure.
the place where hip hop was burgeoning at that point, which had been happening for several years, but they really did solidify it. So I was excited to see them on the list. I was excited to see Pete Rock and CL Smooth on the list. They're one of the groups that I'm curious to see who else is on the list, because I might have questions, because
Mm,
I feel like even though they only have two albums, I feel like both of those albums are really, really important. And I will say this: no matter who else is on the list, I am surprised that Heavy D and the Boys is so low on this. I feel like from like 86 to like 94, Heavy D and the Boys were kind of the gold standard for the balance of like true hip hop and like pop R&B. Like
got
they really did have a solid blueprint, where Hev is the charismatic front man, and the two dancers and the DJ. So that's my only thing. I feel like having Heavy D and the Boys at 42 feels icky a little bit, but that's just me.
So now I agree with you squarely on what made them fantastic, right?
Mhm.
I'm just wondering if they took into consideration, like over the years, things kind of fell apart and where
Mhm.
Heavy D became the main focus
Yep.
as not only as a recording artist, but then as a TV star, an
And
actor,
an
and
executive, a label
then
head.
a label head, and then he kind of fell back and became like you said, a label head behind
Mhm.
Soul for Real,
Mhm.
producing things of that nature. So I'm just wondering if those things take into account. But
Yeah.
no, I agree. As far as a package, the look. They had the whole look. Definitely, definitely one of those hip hop groups that you can't not mention in a list like this. So, I am interested in, so like you, and seeing where they go with this list. I see what Billboard is doing. They're teasing. They're giving a little leg, and then they pull it right back.
And they
You
pull
know,
it back.
you know, and I get it. I'm with that. I'm with the little titillation like that. Um, but listener, I'm curious to know what you think. Who you think? What rap group you think is number one? Of
Ooh.
course, I'm also interested in knowing what my co-host J Ray thinks, or who he thinks is the number one hip hop group on the list. So we're making our predictions right here and there. So put your money up, ante up, everybody. Let's throw our
Absolutely.
dollars in right now. Who you
Right
got?
now.
Who you
So
got?
I'm about to tell you, I want to shout out Kari, who's watching us on YouTube and going back to the Cali, said, I don't know, it's not the melody, it's just the words. I can give her the benefit of the doubt. Shout out to you, Kari, for giving Cali the benefit of the doubt on area codes. And the link to that is in the description for folks that want to check out that song too. Okay. My prediction for the number one hip hop group is
Mm-hmm.
Public Enemy. I think that they will take the top slot. I think there's not we're going to see how this unfolds. So
Right.
every week that they don't appear in this group, I guess they're going to do this for the next 4 weeks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or probably up until hip hop's birthday. Um we'll see where they fall, but I think they will end up being number one, simply because of the output, the impact, and kind of the long tail of their work. And in fact, if y'all go back, we have a show about Public Enemy's
About public. That's
um,
right.
uh,
A
album.
nation.
It takes a nation of millions to hold us
Mhm.
back. Definitely go check out that episode. Sir Daniel, who do you think will be in the top slot?
Did you mean Senior Daniel?
Oh, that's shade.
Another inside joke, folks. Okay, so listener, I hope you're writing this down, listener. So J Ray has picked Public Enemy, which is a very, very solid choice. I am going to say that my pick for number one rap group, and I know y'all probably think it's one thing, because you know who I am, and you know who I live for, and all that other good stuff. But it's not. I will surprise you and say that my number one pick is going to be A Tribe Called Quest.
Mm, good choice.
I and the reasons to me are obvious. It's kind of glaring. Um, I do think I think that there's some people, especially me being here in Atlanta, I know some people would probably be like, well, how could you say that? Outcast is clearly going to be number one, which I'm not doubtful that they would be I wouldn't be doubted if they're in the top five, quite
Yeah.
honestly.
Hmm.
I would not doubt that, but I squarely believe that A Tribe Called Quest has had such a impact on a generation, a generation, us, you and I,
Hmm.
listener, has had an impact on us in so many ways, from high school throughout college to our first 9 to 5 job where we moved out on our own. And they have had all the albums to do it. They've had their solo joints. They've had internal beef, which is, you can't be a group without some type of internal beef. um and they've toured the world. So I just really believe that the impact is that they've had culturally is going to push them to number one. So you've heard it here first. This is show number, where are we, 103?
103.
Yeah, this is show 103. These are our predictions. J Ray and Sir Daniel. J Ray put up Public Enemy. I put up A Tribe Called Quest. Listener, I'm very interested. If you want to show it to us in the chat, or you want to email it to us, let us know who you believe will be the number one pick for hip hop's best rap group of all time, their top 50 list of hip hop's best rap group of all time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just interested and we want to hear from you as well.